think this is on. You should see a thing that says it's on.
I think it's on.
Okay, great. Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
How are you?
I'm good. I think it's happening. Are we doing it? It's like the first time I got laid. Are we doing? Is this happening?
This is it. This is totally it. Oh my God. I'm not even going there. Nope.
All right. My name is Joel Egger, and my friend here is
Steve Erbauer.
And I guess we're talking to each other for a while, and we're going to record it. Welcome to the Trying to Be Better podcast with Steve and Joel, or is it with Joel and Steve?
It's Joel and Steve. I think you should go first.
All right.
I'm deferring to you. You're the one with actual artistic credentials here.
That's bullshit because you are a musician, so shut up.
Okay, fine.
Welcome to the Trying to Be Better podcast with Joel and Steve. Why are we here?
Well, Joel, we're here because, and I think this is interesting, but I mean, the short version is that I asked you if you want to do a podcast.
Which is wild because I'd kind of been thinking about doing a couple of different things, right? Because we're in the middle of a global pandemic.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm a theater artist and a theater professor, and I did some weird stuff this fall that kind of jarred loose some old nooks and crannies in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about doing a podcast a long time ago, just about local Lincoln, Nebraska community stuff.
Yeah, I remember talking about that.
I'm like, man, it'd be cool to have a podcast, but I don't know what we would talk about. And kind of in that same time, you sent me that text.
Well, I've been, in my meditations lately, I mean, one of the things that I am focusing on is to find a creative outlet, right?
Yeah.
Like playing music in coffee houses or whatever. That's kind of out right now.
That's
kind of out, which is kind of a bummer because my wife's taking guitar lessons and can sing. And that's something I've been I would like to do with her at some point,
Right.
To go do the, Joan Baez, Bob Dylan thing.
Ah,
see, right? Holly can sing like crazy, but anyway, so that's kind of out. And I thought, gosh, I enjoy talking with you. I wouldn't even bother to do this with a lot of people.
No, that's absolutely true. I wouldn't either. I thought about if you're going to actually start a podcast, you should be able to want to do it for a long time to get those conversations in.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody I would want to do. And that's not just to kiss your ass. I'm just saying that I think all the weird shit that we talk about.
Yep.
I love you, but I think there'd be a lot. I think the weird shit that we would be interested in discovering about a range of topics or music or people we'd interview, I think that it would continue to be interesting because you and I have, we have some water under the bridge
for real, and
it's always been interesting.
Yeah.
So I don't think
at least to us.
Yeah. So if you this is just two, middle-aged white dudes talking to each other.
Pretty much.
That's going to be a lot of it. But I think that the title of the podcast,
middle-aged? Oh God.
I'm 40. I guess I would consider that.
I'm almost 50. So I'm more middle. You're 40's the new 25. You're good.
But if you think about middle as if I make it to 80, that's
you're middle-aged. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? 80 is, I think, a good number that that's what we're trying to hit.
So, right Joel, now. Is this your midlife crisis doing a podcast with me?
No, it's not. And if we ever have a Patreon, you get to, for a cool 5 million, you can know what my midlife crisis was or will be. Yeah. My midlife crisis right now is video games, but maybe that'll be a topic for another time.
Oh, I'll write that down. Yeah, that's a good one.
But I think that, it's we're just two dudes that, here's the other thing too, is that we're in the middle of a global pandemic. You and I would have been to a lot more concerts by this time. Mm-hmm. We would have had a lot more conversation in a car.
For real.
This is a time that you and I can just sit and talk about cool stuff.
Yep. And
the point of the podcast being we're trying to be better. This is not just us kissing each other's asses or giving each other a hard time.
Or shit talking.
Right.
Although there may be some of that, but
that's part of it.
Yes.
But
because let's face it, that's really one of our gifts to the universe is the ability to do that.
That's a whole other thing too, because when I met you, I was a shivering, sensitive, man child,
Right. Which you're
and
not
I
anymore.
no, and I
No,
can
you're
take
not.
some shit, and I
Yes, that's
kind of
true.
always wish that was possible. So anyway, but I think the point of all of this is that we eventually chat about things to be curious, to be
Mm.
interesting, to be interested ourselves, to keep ourselves fascinated with the world, learn some new shit, talk to people that like we wouldn't normally talk to in this way. I don't know. What do you think?
See that? Well, I like what you said about the fascination thing, because that's one thing that I think has made our relationship so rich, is that we come from disparate places, but we kind of feel the same way about things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we're able to, and not about everything, but I mean, like, because we, like you've called me out on some things and I've called you on some things,
Yep.
but it's always gone well. And I think that I just got some notification on my computer. Leave me alone. ADD moment.
We have the trust tree.
Yeah, we have the trust tree, and that we are able to bounce things off each other in a way that opens up doors
Yes.
that maybe wouldn't otherwise happen. Right.
Agreed.
Like,
Yep.
oh, I didn't think about that, that thing.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
but in a way that is, I mean, it helps that we're kind of simpatico about a lot of things. So we're not going to get into.
I think that it's the perfect time to have these conversations publicly, because I know that, and this isn't me tooting my own hooter. Toot your hooter. That's a t-shirt. That's the t-shirt.
There you go. That's it. Who wants to toot Joel's hooter?
I know that you have, I know that you have helped me to be better.
Yes.
And I know that I've helped you to be better. Like, I'm not saying that just because, but like, we've helped each other be better men.
For those of you that don't know us, that's 100% true.
It's real.
We have both legitimately helped each other become better men over the course of the last almost 2 decades.
Yeah. Better.
Oh, to even become men.
Dude, so Kirsten and I, my wife, were on a bike ride tonight, and out of nowhere she says, "You're a good man."
Oh,
I almost like welled up and wrecked my bicycle.
Yeah.
But I don't think she says shit like that without you and men like you in my life. But primarily, like, you're kind of you're my vault.
Yeah.
Same. So where did that, let's get into it.
Sure.
Where did that start? Like, we met 18 plus years ago.
Yeah. In recovery. We'll just leave that there.
Yeah.
But I mean, you were a hot mess. You were.
Let's hear how. I want to know what your how.
Well, you were really agitated and really sweaty, and drove that little red Prism car thing.
Yeah. And a 1990, what was it? A 93 or 4 Geo Prism hatchback.
Yeah. Not a bad car for, somebody. Whatever. It was the sobriety sled,
It was the cherry bomb.
Right.
That's what I called it.
But you were desperate, which is a really good way to come around.
That's true.
Like, you were legitimately desperate and looking for I don't necessarily think you were looking to get sober, but you were looking for a way out that wasn't suicide.
Which is absolutely real. And I have no problems telling you that. And anybody that's listening to this, that I was at the end of my rope, and not because, I was freaking 20 years old on the cusp of being 21 and realized I needed to get clean and sober.
That's a really weird time to get sober.
It really, I had 3 months of sobriety on my 21st birthday.
Wow.
And I went and saw a Fast and Furious movie to celebrate with some other people in recovery, which is at the time, it was great because I wasn't, dying. But when you met me, I was miserable and completely desperate and didn't want to die, and was on the cusp of doing that.
So, this is a long time ago and my memory is kind of hazy, but my memory of the time for you is like you got back into your academic pursuits pretty quickly-ish. It took a little while. You had some hurdles to jump through, I think. But you were obviously, despite the troubles you were having with your ability to deal with life, you still had a vision of what you wanted to do with your life.
Because I was completely screwing it up.
Yeah.
Like I was that kind of brooding, talented actor kid in the theater department that couldn't show up to stuff sober and couldn't show up to stuff at all and was failing out and had a lot of quote unquote potential. You know what I mean? That was me.
Steve has a lot of potential.
Stephen has a lot of potential, but he
needs to kill himself and everyone around him.
So like my impression of you was, I was like, this guy is kind of a loose cannon. You know what I mean?
You're not the first person to say that.
Like loose cannon,
and history would show that that's true.
Yeah. And you kind of seem like this guy is unafraid to be a little wild.
True.
Because you would like DJ stuff and you'd in hanging out with people and in conversations with our friend group, it was like, oh, this dude doesn't give a shit.
Which is really funny because for a long time I really did. I was terrified. That's a lot different now, but yeah, back then I think that was still a thing. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that stems from the fact that I'm just fortunate enough to have seen some things in my life that a lot of people haven't.
Right.
And I have that kind of perspective.
Yep.
You know, and so it's like, well, whatever.
But the thing that really kind of sealed the deal was like, I really want to get to know this dude is at that bachelor party where we had that huge bonfire for Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And you busted out the guitar and played like Tangled Up in Blue, and you played some other Dylan stuff and
Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here, probably.
Yep. And I was like, he knows. Homies. I could maybe at that time play 3 songs in their entirety, and you played about 10. So I was like, oh, this guy, it was great. I was like,
thanks.
It kind of was like one of those things where it was like, oh, this can happen and you can be sober doing it. And I was like, this guy's cool. He plays guitar and has a funky bucket hat and smokes cigarettes and is kind of wild and has a kind of a maniacal laugh. Like, oh, this guy's okay. It's cool.
Oh,
but if that were all that there was, like, so what, then we wouldn't probably be, pals today. You know what I mean? Like,
well, those were heady times.
Yeah, they were.
But, I watched you kind of dust yourself off, and like, we weren't hanging out a lot back then. Like, we weren't super tight. We were kind of in the same social circle, I would say.
Right. Like the first time I really hung out with you was, I think, going over to your apartment with Chris and somebody else, and we turned the lights down and you played some Live Dead for us.
Yeah, that was great.
That was
always great.
And I'll
do that right now, actually.
And I was stone cold sober. Right. And you guys should reference or listen to the conversation Steve and I had about the Grateful Dead.
Mm-hmm.
But like, that was kind of an introduction beyond just like the bullshit you normally hear about the Grateful Dead.
Right.
And I was like, really, I listened to it and heard it for the first time. So it's like, oh, that's interesting.
Well, in a way it was meditating.
Totally.
It was meditating.
That might've been my first like true meditation besides a couple of, my weird progressive church camp. That should be
right.
Rainbow Camp. We should talk about Rainbow Camp.
I'm writing that down. Okay. Rainbow Camp, dude. I can't wait to. I'll tell you where the thing that really, really got my attention, other than the fact that, you're devastatingly handsome.
Woo, Lord.
I watched Ferris Bueller the other night. So that's Abe Froman, Sausage
King of Chicago.
Anyway, was Gabriel's Horn. I don't remember exactly where that was in this timeline, but it's pretty early on.
That would have been 2003.
Okay.
2002, 2003. So Gabriel's Horn was, I could talk all night about that, but that was the first original devised movement piece I directed as an undergraduate at the University of Nebraska Theater Department.
That production blew my mind.
Yeah.
Like, it legitimately, and I was thinking about this today. I was kind of thinking about this conversation, but I'm like, I mean, maybe that was just, you know, Joel was riffing on something he'd seen. He just kind of threw this thing together. But like, to me, that, like, I was thinking, what I couldn't tell you today because I don't know enough about that world to know if it was derivative or if it was actually original. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Right. But for me, seeing that, it blew my mind. I had never seen anything like that before. Not only that, but it made me cry. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it really
and
was.
you were sitting there, you were the director.
I was,
and I just thought, I knew that it was a Joel Egger joint kind of from top to bottom, other than the people doing the actual movement, you know?
Yeah.
But that blew my mind. And I'm like, that was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And I knew it came from you.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
That's kind of one of those things that, you know, when for lack of a better way to put it, like when an alcoholic talks about drinking their first drink and it just turned them on and they always try to get back to that. I think I've transcended that with that one, but I always think like there was something very pure and it wasn't derivative. I mean, but I did steal technique and certain things, and
nothing's original in rock and roll, man.
Exactly. It was definitely everybody steals everything, but it was my girlfriend at the time and I worked on it. It was kind of like a bad dream / end of the world in reinterpretation of Revelations sort of thing. But it was
I can't relate to that at all.
Right. It was very redeeming though. Yeah. But at the same time, like, that was the first time it was like pure. It was pure creativity from me and the actors that worked on it. They had a lot to say about that, but it was one of those things where I felt like I was in my own and created something original. And I've kind of been chasing that one ever since, and really had a similar feeling in this last project I did at Doan, which is not really anywhere near the production value of that because we were restricted and outside and everybody had masks on and stuff, but that sort of freedom of impulse, you know? So I'm glad. Yeah. That's cool. You said that.
Yeah. Well, I'm not kidding. That's still to date, like, as far as like artistic experiences, that's one of my top ones. And I like to think I'm I wouldn't say I'm like a cultured person, but I have seen some things, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude.
And like, I can't rattle off authors and whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have a degree in any sort of high art,
right?
But I've had some really weird experiences and whatever that in terms of all the like artistic experiences that I've had in my life, that was easily up in the top of them. In this black box theater on the campus of the University of Nebraska.
Yep.
Like, go figure, right?
Yeah. And folks still talk about that, which means a lot. It's kind of like, you know, if that's my 15 minutes, I'll take it because it was so pure and so free, and everybody was it was just like, it was like I had my own kind of wild college free punk rock experience of creating that.
Yeah.
And that, it was amazing. So what, I mean, how did we coalesce as pals though? Because
so you went to California. That didn't go so well.
It did not. So no, I mean, it did and it didn't. Like I definitely came back to Lincoln with my tail between my legs, but it was a huge teaching experience. And I think the stage.
I think that's when you came back, that's when we started to talk. And I don't even remember exactly that, but I know that's kind of where
I think that we were starting to kind of be pals before I moved.
Yeah.
And then when I know that you and I had a good time just sending each other random song lyrics.
Yep. Yeah, we riff on song lyrics.
Yeah, like you'd send me a Ween lyric,
and
then I'd send you something that was kind of inspired by that. Was like, could have been anything, like Devo, and then you'd send something Bruce Springsteen. Like we just do that back and forth.
But it all was a narrative.
Totally,
they were all tangentially related somehow. It's like 6 Degrees of Ween.
Exactly. Which that's a podcast in and of itself. We could talk about Ween.
I was thinking about that. Like, that's actually probably like our weird focal point, like the whatever the catalyst was, probably Ween.
It was, in a weird way, because that was really before I'd kind of really gotten too much into the Grateful Dead.
Oh my God, that's so right. Yep.
But I think those conversations actually made me appreciate Ween more. I'd heard a lot of Ween, but I don't think I was.
Well, that's all because of Casey.
That's Casey.
There's a whole other podcast.
That is a whole other podcast.
Yeah, love you, Casey.
So when I moved back, then we we started hanging out more.
Yeah.
And more. And then it was like,
well, I think that's because like, yeah. And what year was that when you came back? Cause I'm trying to figure out where I was.
2005.
Yeah. So I had just gotten married and was totally ill prepared for that.
Well, I totally didn't go to your wedding because I just moved back and gotten a job and I couldn't get the time off. And I worked weekends at this, like.
You missed a hell of a soiree. I can tell you that much.
Oh, I heard.
Right. Oh boy.
So that we started hanging out more then. And then it was like, I don't know. We just, and then, Kirsten and Holly go way back.
Yes. About 18 years.
Yeah. And so then we started going to shows, and then it would, I really think that our friendship really sort of solidified. I don't know, maybe it might've been before that, but there was a lot where I was like, I know Steve likes the Grateful Dead and we're going to Lake McConaughey. We got 4.5 hours in the car.
Yep.
Play me what I need to hear. I think I said those exact words, like play me what I need to hear.
You did.
So,
and that's my favorite words ever, because that's
you lit up like a freaking Christmas tree.
Right. Yep. Oh, it's on.
Yeah. So then we started going to shows.
Yeah. That's good times.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about that. That's another podcast.
Listen to that podcast.
But
Steve Erbauer's Grateful Dead
I'll have to post a link to that just because there's kind of an asterisk. It's an appendix, if you will.
Yeah. But then I think it was one of those things where it's like, our friendship grew beyond just doing fun shit.
Yes.
And became about.
Well, we both got married.
Right.
And all of a sudden we're two people where our peer group wasn't married.
Right. Yep.
Yep. And I was certainly having struggles with that. And that's no secret,
Yep.
And in fact, I think we'll have Holly on here as a guest if she wants to, because she's got stuff to say.
That's cool.
Yeah. She'd like to be on it.
Yeah, dude.
So
Kirsten said she'd be down too. That'd be an interesting, like,
oh boy.
We think we're trying to be better and be like, that's the real litmus test. Let's get our wives.
For real. Let's get our wives in here.
Yeah. Kirsten may have said I'm a good man earlier, but she could just be trying to get in my pants tonight. I don't know if I could be.
God, buttering you up. Oh my gosh.
But that's like, around, that's what, like, an adult friendship.
Yes.
Two men being vulnerable with each other's shit.
Yes.
It grew
and with each other.
Yeah. And just like beyond being partying and having a good time and like,
hey, bro.
Yeah. Like in the same sportsings or like in the same music.
How about those Huskers?
Like, hey, I think I'm going to jump off a ledge. What do you think?
Right. Yeah. Like, I don't know if I can go home tonight.
Exactly.
What do I do about that?
Should I just run for the hills? Yeah, dude, maybe not. Maybe not today.
Not today.
I mean, and that's the thing, is that we're going to share a certain level of intimacy here. And I think because we have that, our conversations are going to be interesting.
Right.
At least I hope they are.
Right.
But the fact that, you've heard me at my worst.
Yep. Man,
stone cold sober.
Yep. That's the thing. There's no excuse.
Right.
Yeah. Just we both had growing up to do.
Dude.
Right?
Sometimes I don't feel like I've actually, like, I'm just play acting at growing up.
That's real, but I also, like, if I look at my life and kind of how I feel on a day-to-day basis this day, like, I actually feel like a grown-up. And not in like, oh God, I'm old way. Like, I legitimately, and I mean this, I feel better today about who I am and where my life is and my life circumstances than I ever have ever, period.
Yeah. And somebody, as somebody who's seen you, as somebody who has seen you through that, I can say that's very clear. I think I'm a little thrown off because I'm trying to teach during a global extinction event.
Right.
But like, I thought about that the other day when like a tree fucking fell on my car because of a windstorm. And I'm like, I guess I got to call the insurance and take it to the body shop.
Your relatively new car.
Yeah, it's like 3 years old, 2 years old. So it's like, okay, this thing, that's kind of a bummer. I guess I got to do that.
Right.
10 years ago,
Oh my God.
15 years
I
ago,
would have gotten the call.
end of the world.
Right.
End of the world.
Right. Yep.
And that's, yeah. So, we're doing okay
I think
for
so.
now. We're able to pay our bills for now.
It's weird.
I'm not, my life isn't, I'm not bleeding and on fire.
Right. Yeah. It's not, neither of our lives are dumpster fires.
My life is not an emergency anymore.
Nope.
Pretty wild.
Well, I mean, like really the pandemic's kind of, throwing it a curveball, but like you have a really great position.
Yeah. I'm a professor. In case
Yeah.
anybody wants to know, I'm a professor of theater. I teach acting and script analysis and all that stuff. I also direct plays as a part of my job.
Which
And
is
that's kind of,
amazing.
it's amazing. That's kind of always what I wanted to do anyway. Like I was telling a prospective student the other day, like my dream, whether I was able to verbalize it or not, was really to be, teach at the college level.
Right.
Like, and that's not everybody's dream that goes, and it's only been the last few years that I've been able to really be comfortable with that. So I get what you're saying. It's like, I'm not pining for Hollywood or New York City. Like I really love getting to work with these students. Like
if you got, obviously the television landscape has changed a lot. There's so much great product out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of crap too, but there's some really great stuff. But like the thought of you working on like some shitty sitcom thing, some Plastic Fantastic with the laugh track and all that, I could just see you sitting in the office at the end of shooting for the day, just going, I hate my life.
But I think that I would be willing to bet that the paychecks sort of help with that.
I think the paychecks probably help a lot. Yeah. So there's that. It's
there
like, what, you can have your standards. I'm going to go take my Ferrari over to my second house right now.
Right.
And do whatever you do with that.
Well, like, not that his work has ever been he's done some corny stuff, but Tim Robbins is a great example to me. Tim Robbins, Shawshank Redemption. So like he started when he was a student at UCLA back in the late 70s, early 80s, maybe.
Yeah.
He started a theater company called the Actors Gang in LA, and they're still going. I got a buddy that's two people that I know that are in that. And that's where he gets his artistic kicks out. The guy's a wild man. He adapted 1984 and all this stuff and adapted a great adaptation of Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream. And then he goes and does movies, like he does goofy movies, serious movies, doesn't matter. His bread gets buttered, but like his artistic outlet is this acting company in the middle of,
Well, and I guess that's right. Like if you're bringing down the serious Hollywood money, there's a lot of freedom there.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. You got to get to a certain level where you can be free. It's that middling. Yeah. So
I'm sitting here questioning all of my life
I was like,
again.
No dead air, man. You can't just go down the rabbit hole, man.
I just went down the rabbit hole. It's fine. But like, I'm, for those of you that are curious, I'm the director of information systems for a hospital not too far from here. It's a small rural hospital, but it's a good position and I really enjoy it for the most part.
Mr. Manager.
I am Mr. Manager. Yep.
Well, here's the thing. You're good at managing. Like
I am.
You had a
not my own life, but other people's.
But you had a managing job not that long ago. And
I've had a few of them.
Your road to like IT stuff has been interesting, right? Because when I met you, you just decided to go to school for that, right? Like that was
that's my bachelor's degree. I got my finally got my bachelor's degree. I think I graduated with that in 12.
But you were doing it kind of without the degree before.
That's correct. Yeah. And really in IT, the degrees don't mean anything. What the bachelor's degree got me was the director position.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you're at a point where you have a title and a position in a job that you're very skilled at. And
I'm surrounded by people that are skilled by it.
And you're managing the skilled people.
That's correct. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of what a good manager would do.
Exactly. That's, you surround yourself with people that are smarter than you are and you'll be a success and give them the credit for it.
Yeah.
They get all the credit.
Mm-hmm. Or you can just, tweet from the shitter that you're everything. You run everything and you haven't lost anything.
I run everything.
I did this all by myself. Yeah.
And it's not my fault. I did it all by myself and it's not my fault.
it's all too much and it's never enough.
Right. Oh my God, Jack.
We got to get Jack on here.
Yeah, we do.
So the reason you feel so good about where you're at right now, which is anybody listening, that's fairly new. It's not like brand spanking new, but that's a really recent.
Something that I've looked for and struggled with, both from external sources and of my own doing, for a long time, for 20 years.
How'd you do that?
Didn't drink, didn't die.
Yeah.
Didn't run away.
Yeah.
And had to face some hard truths about myself, frankly.
So doing the work, the work and recovery.
Yes. And just, I mean, I guess that's the simplest envelope to put it in.
Right. You know? So it's not, I guess what I'm getting at is that it's not
like if I was who I was even 5 years ago, this wouldn't have happened.
But it's not the job that gives you that sense of confidence. It's
not
the title. It's not.
No, it's not. It's the fact that for the first time in my life, I'm employed by an organization that is scrupulous. It's a combination of factors. They're good people. We have some money. The business is not foundering. The people that I report to are kind and competent people that actually care about me and the organization. We have a set of standards that everybody tries to adhere to. It's not this just shit show all the time, right? Like
you have experienced
so many times in so many different ways. Like I've worked for great organizations that had no money because the world had changed.
Right.
The newspaper industry, I'm looking at you.
Right.
You know? I loved when I was IT manager for our local newspaper, and I loved that job. It was fantastic. There was just literally no money. And every single day I thought I was going to get fired. When am I going to get handed my box? Because I went through bloodbaths, you know?
Yeah.
And so like, that wasn't great.
Right.
And I worked for companies that were doing okay, but were run by, narcissistic con men.
Those don't work out.
Well, they are. The thing is, Joel, this is America, and they're doing just fine. But 40% of my job was lying to people, lying to vendors, lying to customers, lying to the people that I managed.
Like to keep that bottom line from bottoming out.
Well, so the owner could just get every last penny.
Gotcha.
Out of everybody, no matter what the cost.
So maybe the narcissistic con man at the top of organizing and running something isn't the best idea.
Well, actually, this is another podcast.
Yep.
But it helps to be like, if you're going to be a CEO, it helps to be a sociopath. It really does.
Why?
Because you're able to compartmentalize things like people.
Like you can
like for example, if a battery factory in Bhopal, India blows up and creates problems for a lot of people over a lot of time, that's just an externality.
Oof.
That wasn't anything on us.
See, and this is why I think this podcast is actually going to be helpful to maybe the only people it helps is you and I.
Maybe.
But the fact that like we can be in the situation that we're in and try to look at the circumstances and all the things that we're doing, whether it be our favorite Grateful Dead album, or is there such a thing as the multiverse, or what happens when we die, and we can have these conversations and try to be better. Like,
yes.
How does what, and this is what Kirsten so eloquently put on our bike ride. Like, how do we deal with these topics, these conversations, these interviews, and stay current with each other and with ourselves to try to let the world know that it's good to be vulnerable. It's good to be curious. It's good to have long conversations with your friends that aren't typical, that, like, I don't know, we're not going to solve systemic racism. We're too white. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to, we can talk to people that know a thing or two, but like, what can we do? And I think that also just having I keep seeing these damn memes like on social media. It's like, take up something new, do something creative, and this is a podcast has been on my mind for a while. So I'm like, just the creativity of it, the conversation. I mean, we both are fans of great podcasters.
Yes.
Right. And they have perfected, and we're just stealing from them.
Totally. Yeah. Wink and a nod to like, oh, I don't know, Mark Maron.
Rob
Bell.
Yes. Rob Bell, Duncan Trussell, Pete Holmes. Yes. Right. Like these are
stuff you should know, guys.
The Josh stuff you should
love
know.
You guys.
Oh my God. Right. I have a nerdy Pearl Jam podcast I listen to called Single Podcast Theory with Brad. And like, I love Brad Blazek and I forgot the other Brad. Oh no. But it's an amazing, I mean, they're just two dudes that love Pearl Jam, and they'll talk about the new album. They'll talk about a show. They'll talk about, and like, I don't know, that has gotten me through the crap show that has been the last 6 months, just having those conversations, even if they're just about Pearl Jam's new album.
Well, I think that's, oh God, is that a form of meditation? Is that a singleness? Is that a thing to focus on?
Ooh.
Right. Like today our beam, our light, our whatever is Pearl Jam's new album. That's what maybe. Is that well, it's kind of too big to be a mantra, maybe.
That's a long mantra.
It's a long mantra.
I don't know. I don't hold with people that anything can be meditation if you want it to be.
Oh.
I don't do that.
Okay.
I mean, I think
I'm so new to all of that. Like
you can be what do you think?
I don't know. Like, well, I mean, I do believe that sitting down and listening to the Dark Star from Live Dead, if you sit and listen to that,
yeah,
that's meditating.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Lights off, headphones on.
Yeah.
Nothing else happening. Just listening to that 21-minute piece of music. When it starts to drift and St. Stephen starts to rise and you open your eyes, that's a meditation.
I totally agree. I think that like music, I think is magical in that way, and definitely can be
even like white
meditation. Whatever tucks your cucumber into the leather pants.
Here I go again on my.
I'm so sorry, everybody. He's gonna start doing it. Who's the lead singer of Whitesnake?
Nope. I'm not gonna do my whatever that guy's name is, Robert Plant.
Wannabe.
Yeah.
Knockoff
David Coverdale. There we go.
Okay.
Although he did make an album with Jimmy Page. I mean, there's a thing. I was at Red Rocks in 2001 to see Phil Lesh, right? And I was next to this guy he had been seeing shows since the early 70s. And the Disco Biscuits were opening for Phil, and it was the second night, and I was tired. And I didn't Disco Biscuits, they're like playing rave music. I don't give a fuck. I just want Phil to come out and start doing his thing. And I was kind of whining like, these guys, whatever, man. And this old dude just looks at me and he goes, all he said was, they're playing Red Rocks. And then he just went back to, and I'm like, okay, you have a valid point. Like, what am I going home to? My shitty job?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I was like, that's where that was my lesson for that entire trip was they may suck, but they're playing Red Rocks.
Right.
So
yep. And that's the thing, like somebody's Disco Biscuits could be that Dark Star from Live Dead.
Yeah. And their portal into the divine.
Yeah. But I think that music occupies, and I think we're going to probably make a lot of musical references, but I think music occupies a magic there, a transcendent thing. I mean, when I listen to Rob Bell's podcast, it's meditative. It's more reflective than meditative. Like,
oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're going to try to define what that is. It's not like we're the first two people in the world to try to discuss this, like what is meditation? Well, no, we're not.
Okay.
This is an ancient story.
Oh, right. Oh, so we're tapped into an ancient tradition. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it goes back a long time, I guess.
All right.
And it's
Sorry, you were saying Rob Bell.
I don't know. I was just saying that I don't know. We that's maybe its own conversation of what is meditation, and talk to some actual potential experts at it.
Well, maybe. So here's the thing. What are we doing here?
I don't know. We're talking.
Okay. But I like, you said vulnerability. And I think that's because to me, as I'm thinking about like, why are we doing this? What's the point other than just us entertaining ourselves and hopefully somebody else maybe is like dealing with things that are frustrating in a way that is real and
Mhm.
that is like we have to look at our own shit with that in terms of
Yep.
like, why is this upsetting?
Mm.
Why is this upsetting?
Mm.
Right?
I'm here for that.
You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
like,
And then pivot the conversation to how do we deal with it in a
I'm
way
here.
that in a way that
That's
is
beautiful.
in a way that is constructive and useful. Because Lord knows we can go all Statler and Waldorf on shit all night long, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But to be able to turn it around into getting back to like, all right, we're mature adult people
Right.
who should
Mm.
be better than just being angry.
I
I mean,
I
like the
really
anger
love
is
that.
real, like the anger is real and the frustration is real. But yeah, I've been listening to that book, Real Change by Sharon Salzberg, which I
Ooh.
love.
Yeah, nice.
And it's really intense. And
Mhm.
she digs right in, you know,
Mhm. Mhm.
but in a way that is very powerful. And she gives so many excellent examples of people who have been through things infinitely worse than things either you or I have gone through
Yep.
and have come out on the other side as very strong, proactive people that work to benefit other people.
Yeah. Well,
And so, go ahead.
I think that the scope of what you just said is perfect, and that's, yeah, that's why I think that, because we could do a podcast that is just, yeah, almost self-indulgent, but you and I don't operate that way when we talk. Like, it's not just a let's go down the drain together. It's like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Two guys
we
sitting at the bar.
yeah, we can't afford, we couldn't afford that.
That's the truth. So
Like,
it's
we
not
can't,
it's don't for people listening. I don't think you should get the wrong idea that we're like some sort of like
saints or
pillars
like
of light.
monks. No, no,
No, we're
no.
doing this to save our own asses.
And I really think we are, because here's the thing, dude. There was a bit of time, maybe a few weeks ago, I was legit depressed.
Mm,
And I was like, all I wanted to do was kind of hide in my basement
huh?
and play video games
Mhm.
and just kind of check out. And I was like, when I discovered that I could do most of my, without teaching, do a lot of my stuff from home, I would just like sneak away and come home, and I didn't see any colleagues and I barely had any interaction with students. And Kirsten was, back to work. And it was like, this feels like about the 6 to 9 months before I got clean and sober, which
Oh,
were
wow.
dark.
Dark.
They were dark.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I could see this getting pretty, not minus all the like mood altering drugs that depress you even more.
Right.
But I'm like, man, this, I need accountability, but I also need curiosity, and I need to,
Mhm.
feel like, I don't know, whatever I'm interested in is interesting, and that, I can also be
That's
interested in other people's stuff and like learn new stuff. Like, I don't know. The part that gets me, I'm like, who needs this? You know what I mean? Who needs
I
this
need
part?
it.
Exactly.
I
I
need it.
I need it.
Yeah.
So if other people benefit from it, that's even better. And we'll
Well,
try
that's
to always kind of have that be the point. But
yeah. Well, this goes back to we were talking about earlier, and this may have been before we hit record, but like the whole my Grateful Dead podcast that I did was literally born out of you saying, I wish we had time to hang out and listen to music
yeah,
like we would have like in
yeah,
high school.
yeah,
We
yeah,
just sit and listen to it and talk about it, like, well, we
yeah.
can't do that.
Right.
So that podcast is just started as me playing music and talking about it to you for you.
Yeah, dude.
And people listen to it. Not a
People
lot,
listen,
but
and I listened to it. Like,
yeah.
you turned me on to, and contextualized different eras of the music, and you told me backstories of what you could find. And it was like I was riding out to Lake McConaughey with you.
Yep. Well, that was the goal. And so like this is really just a two-way version of that,
Mm-hmm.
you
But
know.
like, to sort of branch out into different worlds and talk about different things,
Yes.
to like maybe research a thing, or
Oh yeah.
bring some random in and like be like, what are you doing in the world, and talk to them. And I don't know. I
Well, I
think
think
it's,
we've got a really, here's a little self-show plug, but we've got already a really fine list of topics and people. Like
yep.
we've probably got a year's worth of podcasts on this piece of paper I'm looking at.
Yeah. And like some of those things are you and I talking about a certain thing.
Mhm.
And some of those things are we need to bring in an expert like,
Yep.
you know, Terry, who restores old Porsches. Like, who
Right.
doesn't want to hear? I want to hear about that, but I also
Totally.
want to hear why that matters to him and
Yep.
why he suits up to work every day. What interests him about restoring old Porsches? And I know
Yep.
that guy
Yep.
could talk really eloquently about what
Oh,
that means.
totally. Yep. And
You know?
I look I look very much forward to having him on.
Yeah.
I mean, we know just a lot of really weird and cool people
Yeah, dude.
that are doing well,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that
Mhm.
with their weirdness and
Yes.
coolness.
Because of their weirdness.
Yes. Yep. Yep. And then, like, that's like, I'm a really strange person that has a very straight job.
Totally.
So it's this weird dichotomy. Like, people that I work with, like they don't know what to make of me, which I kind of enjoy, and that benefits
Yeah.
me sometimes, you know.
Yeah, my students don't know what to make of me either. Whenever I get close to like a potential drug reference of something that I've specifically experienced, I always say I read a book about that.
Right.
Like I read a book about amyl nitrate, or I read I don't know. I've never done see, but that's the thing is that I've never done those things. So now it's just this running joke of like, I read a book about taking DMT with shamans in the rainforest.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, but yeah, like we're two dudes that have an interest and a lust for life.
Yep.
We're okay with being vulnerable with each other and with people around us.
Yep.
And I don't know, we're curious, and we're also like, you know, curious.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's a certain element of like, I refuse to accept the reality that is force fed to me.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. I don't trust it.
Yep.
Like, why would I?
And that's simulation.
Yeah. Like, I don't like TV. Like, I enjoy some entertainment programs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, Schitt's Creek and Peaky Blinders and The Sopranos.
Right.
But do I like, quote, watch television? No.
Right.
Because every time I have to look at it, like if I'm in a waiting room or at my parents' house or whatever, I'm just like, I'm horrified. Yeah. I'm mortified. You know what I'm saying?
I do. Because
and the radio
no
is terrifying.
Yeah, no.
Like, I feel so sorry for people that think that shit matters or is important or is real.
I checked out of like pop radio several years ago, and it's so interesting to tune back into it because it's like I have no idea what's going on, and Kirsten sort of keeps up. I'm like,
right,
I don't know what this is. I have no idea what
like I looked at like, and this I'm just now I'm like, get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn.
Old man yells at cloud. I mean, that's very, I just look at and I'm like, I'm like my kids, because I have young daughters, you know, bordering on teenagers now, which is just insane. But like I'll never forget the day the oldest came home from school and she looked at me and I could tell she had something on her mind. And I'm like, what is it, kiddo? And she goes, Daddy, none of my friends have ever heard of Jerry Garcia.
Oh my God.
Like,
which means that she brought it up.
Yes,
like she was like, hey, do you guys know who Jerry Garcia is?
And they were like, no.
Oh, wow.
And she was so like, she was kind of scared to mention it. And like, is that even real? Like, are you totally insane? Like, is this a dream? And my answer to that is yes. And yes, it's all a dream. We dreamed one afternoon long ago.
And she's like, my dad is crazy.
Yes.
My dad is crazy.
Yes. But the thing is, she knows all the songs.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Dude. I don't remember how we got off on that tangent, but I like it.
It happens. It totally
happens. And we're just gonna we're gonna apologize for this once now.
Sure.
It's gonna come back to the Grateful.
For? It is.
It's gonna come back to the Grateful Dead
frequently.
And perhaps on my end Pearl Jam quite a bit. Yep. So
and then Ween Boys. It tastes good on the bun.
It does taste good on the bun. Man.
Well, did we do it?
I think we did it.
I think we did it. I think we did it.
I think we did it.
Good. Do you feel
good? I feel real good. I feel like I bought a microphone.
I did too.
In a case.
Right.
I made an Instagram account that I'm probably going to
Which I love.
Yeah, I'm going to start putting stuff on that, and you can link to our website. I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. We want to be able to hear from anybody that's interested or has questions. And if you think there's something we need to talk about, as long as it's not like bat nuts, crazy, QAnon conspiracy, although that'd be interesting.
Well, sure. Let's pick it apart.
The Babylonian ancient death cult.
Sure.
No. But yeah, like if we can somehow be better and encourage others to at least try something wacky, whether they think it's going to matter or not. Right. That's the point, you know, like we can't ask for anything more than that, because yeah. So I think we did it, buddy.
Cool. Well, I'm going to press the stop button.
All right. Stop this.
We'll do this next time. All right.
See you guys
later.